If the Quran has been perfectly preserved, as our Muslim friends will always claim, why do the stories about the creation of the Quranic manuscripts today not match each other? The process for creating the Quran certainly was not consistent. Last time we talked about the claim that when Uthman made his recension of the Quran, the second compilation of the Quran, that he sent it to all provinces, and we showed at least there are multiple claims. One says 5 provinces, another one you can count up to 10 or 11 provinces if you wish. But all that to say is that we are intentionally showing you that there are holes in those narratives. The more we discuss them, the more the holes increase. Today is no exception. We are going to continue now with our discussion concerning the original Quran, or at least let's call it the 7th century Quran. Dr. J, thank you as always. What are we to say about the 7th century Quran?
Well,
what is there to say?
What is there to say? We've already gone and talked about Abu Bakr's recension, that's the first one. Then we talked about Uthman's recension, that's the second one. So we're talking about 2 different Qurans right there, 2 different compilations. Obviously, we don't have either of them. None of them exist. We don't have Hafsa's copy, which is the first recension, nor do we have Uthman's copy, which were sent to 5, maybe 11 different provinces or 11 different cities. That's what the traditions tell us. Al-Bukhari, Volume 6, Hadith number 509 and 510. But it doesn't even stop with that, because now they've set these Qurans up to be standardized, right? They're standardized. So here we have, look at the map here, look at the cities and the countries that we're going to show on a map. And what I want to do is I want to just put this up here, because when you look at the 5 copies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoop, let's go up and get them all the right color. So those are the 5 copies that we see that we talked about in the last episode. 5 copies. I'm not even going with 11. I'm just going to go with 5 for now, all right? 5 copies of this one Uthmanic recension. So the standardized form sent to Mecca, Medina, called Yathrib before that, to Basra, Kufa, and Damascus. So there they are. 1 in Syria today, 2 in Iraq today, and 2 in what would be Saudi Arabia today. Those are the 5. And that's what we're told is the standard form. No questions asked. From that time on, Muslims say it over and over again, this book here is that, are those. That's why they're all in green. They're all the same color. And you've heard every Muslim, and I'm sure if you Muslims who are listening to me, you know that you have said this, you've been told this. This is the narrative, the only narrative you've ever been given, that this book we have in our hand today is that manuscript, is one of those 5. And they have never changed. Yasser Qadi, how many times, or Shabir Ali, how many times do they say not one letter, not one word has been changed?
Especially Shabir Ali.
Especially Shabir Ali. And the Quran makes that claim as well.
That's right.
In chapter 10, in chapter 15, verse 9, in chapter 18, verse 27. In all these references, you see, no one can change the word of God. And in chapter 15, verse 9, that Allah even guards it from being changed so that no man can change it. Because if one man can change one of that, one letter or even one word, it's no longer preserved. It's no longer eternal. It's no longer the inimitable claim that Muslims make for the Quran. It could no longer be from heaven or eternally pre-existing even before for mankind. So there's the problem right there. You've got these 5, so this will never happen again. And then what happens? Well, you look at the traditions, and you suddenly realize that up here in the north, suddenly a new one appears, and that's Ubay ibn Ka'b. And then also right here in Basra, another one comes in, and then Basra, another one. So you have 3 different Qurans coming in that are in the north up here. What's fascinating, the one that's up there, Ubay ibn Ka'b, it is 116 surahs according to the Islamic traditions. Not me saying this, it's the Islamic tradition saying this. Well, there's 114 in the Quran we have today. 114 here, that's 116. So there in Damascus, they have 2 extra surahs. That cannot be the same Quran.
Right.
The one that's over here in what is today Baghdad was Kufa at that time. It has 110 surahs. This has 114. So that cannot be the same Quran. Then there's another one that's here in Basra. It does have 114, but not the same order, nor the same references points, as we're going to see when we get to John of Damascus. We're going to find some other surahs that aren't even found in the Quran, like the one like the camel, the surah of the camel. And that's probably here in the one in Basra. And so these three do not at all parallel the one that we have in our hand today. So the only two that could possibly parallel would be Zayd ibn Thabit, which is why I've kept them in green here in Mecca and Medina. So 5 Qurans in the 7th century from Mecca, Medina, Basra, Kufa, Damascus. We don't have one of them today to check them out. But what about these 3 up here? How did those suddenly appear? If these were sent up there to standardize it, how can you have another Quran that's with 116 surahs, another Quran with 110 surahs, another Quran with 114?
Actually, even
Some say 111, some say 110. There's a whole
that's right.
There's a discussion on that.
But I want to add to this, obviously, Arthur Jeffrey, in one of his,
Who's Arthur Jeffrey? Everybody knows.
He's basically an Islamicist, if we want to say.
From Australia.
And he basically did a lot of work when it comes to the Quran. For instance, one of his writings has to do with the foreign vocabulary of the Quran. Another one, materials for, the title is long. It's just the material that supports basically the Qur'an. In his writings, he did show excerpts, whatever he can find, obviously, because there is no actual manuscript. What Ibn Mas'ud, for instance, readings looked like for certain chapters, what Ubay and Ibn Musa, all those. You'll see that there are variations in the readings. And these were the companions of Muhammad, by the way. They were with him. In fact, the claim is that Ibn Mas'ud known the Quran, right? I mean, if you want to learn the Quran, you learn it from him. Ubay was much younger, and Ibn Mas'ud was upset that they were using Zayd ibn Thabit, for instance, to collect the Quran, who wasn't even born, technically speaking. So all that to say, you see prominent figures having what they perceive to be the Quran that was received by the Prophet of Islam. They're having influence in these regions, and yet the claim is that somehow Uthman destroyed their copies. These are the companions, destroyed their copies and sent his own copies. Now, you tell me, is this like a man-made product or not?
Obviously it is. You can see there's enormous amount of holes we could throw in this. Yeah. Talk about holes in the narrative. This is a huge hole. These are all huge holes. What we do know is Arthur Jeffrey he's writing in the 1930s. This is almost 100 years old, so this is not new material that we're introducing.
I feel he's a pioneer in that field.
When some have looked and seen how many differences he found 15,000 differences between these 4 codices right here.
Right.
Ubay ibn Ka'b, Ibn Mas'ud, Ibn Musa, and Zayd ibn Thabit, he found 15,000 differences referred to in the traditions themselves. So it's very clear that those in the traditions did not see a problem with this, but Muslims today have a problem with this. Why? Well, that's going to be the next episode. We're going to look at what Muslims today say. Do they know about this story? And do they talk about this story? And do they refer to these variants? No, they do not. But let's hear what they say. Let's hear what their quotes on. That's the next episode.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, of course, for this wonderful material that you've been sharing with our audience. Maybe some of you have listened to this in the past, because we've done a number of shows about these issues. Jay himself did a number of shows on his channel, so you can visit his channel, Fonder Films, and my channel, of course, Sira International. But if this is new material to you, hopefully you've been blessed by what is being shared. And of course, what we want you to do at the end of the day is to reason with our Muslim friends. We want them to really unlock their intellectual capabilities by reasoning, comparing, contrasting, and investigating. I mean, we're sharing with you references. We're telling you where we're getting things from. For instance, encourage our Muslim, maybe buy this book as a gift to our Muslim friends, which is Creating the Quran. And there are multiple quotations in there with references where you can find these quotations from. In fact, every chapter he gives you end notes, which has ample evidence as the sources, and then he has a whole list of bibliography. So all that to say is that there are sources for people to go and inspect. And that's our hope, that you would do so. And that's our hope that our Muslim friends will do so as well. Thank you, Dr. J. Thank you, everyone. This is Al-Fadi, over and out. God bless you. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, Sira International, and click on the bell so that you receive notifications whenever we publish a new video or go live. I would also like to appeal to you to consider becoming a Patreon patron by clicking the link right below. By doing so, you can give towards the production of these videos. There are also other options for you where you can give to our channel. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.